What are we connected to? Yep, we're connected to the right ones.
Yeah, I double checked everything.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're sending data. Oh, we're streaming 1 and 2. There we are.
Okay.
We're on.
Happy Holy Tuesday.
Happy Holy Tuesday. It
How are you?
is just before 7:30 in the morning.
I'm ready for a nap.
You're ready for a nap?
As I said yesterday, haven't been sleeping 2 nights in a row, really bad sleeping. So hopefully our tea for the day will have caffeine in it. I'm hoping. I want to make sure we get this steeped early. So we are on to this one. Ooh! It's peaches and cream
Okay, which means it probably has yogurt bits.
and oolong.
Oh, okay.
There is low caffeine in this.
Yes.
195 steep for 4 to 5.
Oh, okay.
And we have oolong tea,
Mm-hmm.
apple,
Mm-hmm.
licorice root,
Mm-hmm.
natural flavoring, peach, white hibiscus blossom.
Oh, there's no yogurt or anything. How's it cream then? Kind of weird.
I'm thinking that's the natural flavoring.
Ah, maybe.
Okay. And let's find out if we like it. How does it smell? It smells like peach and oolong.
You said 4 to 5 minutes?
Yep.
Okay. This is actually a bit low temperature because I've been doing it at 185 because most of our teas so far have been 185, but it should be fine.
So we are back. The last 2 mornings we streamed from our regular streaming room, and we are a bit of board game nerds, and so we've been streaming board games in that room, which is why we had a blue background covering all the board games. I didn't think it was necessary.
I thought it was a nice
a nice
background.
tice.
A nice Eastery background.
But last night we finally picked up and streamed on Twitch a board game we've been playing for a while and had not picked up. So there are these board games called legacy games where when you pay the first one, what happens the next time you play, those effects still affect your next play. And we're playing a cooperative game set 75 years into the future from a catastrophic pandemic. And it is the survivors trying to reestablish safe havens and supply lines, and you're bringing supplies to locations and trying to avoid cities that might get a plague. And so we were playing last night, and I got to write on the board. We put stickers on the board because you're finding when the game starts, you only have part of the coast of Europe, part of the coast of Africa. Only Lagos is your only connection in there. Only Cairo, Tripoli, Istanbul, London, and then on our border we had on our side of the Atlantic we had, it wasn't Lima. Was it Lima? Sao Paulo, Jacksonville, Washington, New York.
Yep.
And so we have discovered now part of Europe. Mm-hmm. We've found part of North America. We've found part of South America, so Buenos Aires, Lima, Santiago have been places, and now we're connecting. So I was actually drawing lines on the bar, going, "Don't make a mark, don't make a mark." So it was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So we've played all the way up to the first 3 missions.
Yep.
Very exciting. And I would love to say that's what we did all night that kept me up, but it wasn't. As soon as that was done and we cleaned up, it was time for bed almost, and I then tossed and turned all night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will read our scripture, which is in Matthew chapter 21, verses 18 to 21, titled, Jesus Curses a Fig Tree. Early in the morning, as Jesus was on his way back to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said to it, "May you never bear fruit again." Immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw this, they were amazed. "How did the fig tree wither so quickly?" they asked. Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and it will be done."
Okay. Sorry, the face of wonder was one of the largest flocks of birds I've ever seen in this neighborhood just flew past our window. Good morning. Thank you for the kind words. I like this dress. It matches my tulips. Lean that way for a moment. Look at my cute little. Alex got it for me last year, or was it 2 years ago? I think it was last year.
I think it was last year.
For Easter, and yeah. And I will be saying hi to my mom. My mom actually arrives today for a week.
Yeah, mid-afternoon, around 2, 3 o'clock, I think.
That is the plan. And what else is going on today? We are returning the baptismal tank today. Has it been 3 to 4 minutes? 4 to 5?
Yep.
Okay. I remember when my kids were much younger. We were driving in the car. There were moments they would get so grumpy and hangry because they hadn't eaten. More than once, I'd pull over, dig through my bag, and toss whatever snack I could find towards the back seat, hoping it would settle them. Hunger has a way of making us impatient and reactive. It is true.
For some.
I get hangry. There are evenings where I am upset and Alex is like, is anything wrong or do you just need a snack? At first glance, you might think this passage is simply about Jesus being hungry and responding impulsively. But if we explore it carefully, we will find a much deeper meaning. As Jesus approaches the fig tree, he sees the leaves that Matthew carefully notes in this passage. From a distance, this tree looks full of life, but on closer inspection, it has nothing to offer. Jesus responds by cursing the fig tree, and it immediately withers. Is Jesus simply having a tantrum? Is he, like my children, grumpy because he hasn't eaten or taken out his frustration on an innocent tree? Not at all. In the Old Testament, figs often symbolized Israel. I, having studied much in the Old Testament and looking at symbolism, had never heard that before. I've learned something new. I would like to find some backup for that. I often think of pomegranates as a symbol in the Old Testament, but it's mostly of God's promise or of Eden, paradise. Much like our reading yesterday of Jesus in the temple, what appears vibrant on the surface is revealed to be fruitless up close. It is no coincidence that Matthew places these stories back to back. Together they serve as a sober reminder that God is not impressed by appearances without substance. Once again, Jesus responds to this emptiness with a prophetic act. He stands in the long line of the Old Testament prophets who warn of the consequences of fruitlessness disguised as faithfulness. Here, Jesus is not acting out of irritation, but confrontation, calling out a form of religion that looks alive but bears no fruit. He curses the tree. Matthew tells us the tree immediately withers as a well-chosen word to add urgency to the moment. Jesus is heading to the cross. God's redemption is at hand, right now. I imagine the disciples felt it too. After all, their time with Jesus, the plan was no longer abstract or After all their time with
Jesus.
Thank you. After all their time with Jesus, the plan was no longer abstract or distant. Something decisive was unfolding, and there was no turning back. And despite the growing momentum and physical progress towards his ultimate arrest and execution, Jesus continues to teach on the reality of his kingdom. The words of Jesus that stand in striking contrast to the image of the withered, fruitless tree. In response to the discipleship's curiosity, Jesus invites them into faith. Remember when Jesus arrived on the scene 3 days earlier? He announced that the kingdom of God was at hand. From that moment, with increasing urgency as he now approaches the cross, Jesus has been inviting his disciples to live kingdom-empowered lives, not to settle for religious platitudes or empty rituals, but to live by faith, to trust that even the boldest prayers will be answered when they are aligned with God's will. He's inviting them to bear the kind of fruit and live the kind of full life that God of the universe desires for his people. Jesus is locked in. He is single-minded and resolute. He is on a mission to restore humanity to God, and not so we can live lives that have simply the appearance of vitality, but rather to truly be transformed, to know the freedom, faith, and life, to live from the inside out. Ready for some questions?
Yeah.
You are drinking the tea. What do you think?
It's not bad. It's definitely a oolong tea.
It's hotter than I expected.
By the way, it's really hot.
I burnt my lips. Okay, questions to consider. Are there areas where you settled for looking alive instead of being fully alive? I think that's a great question.
Probably.
Both for Christ followers, but for anyone. Like, where are you putting on a show instead of just living out of the fullness? Mm-hmm. And I think this comes across of like, especially in our day where so many people are on their phones with social media. I've been really enjoying with our board game geeking to be sharing my board games online. And one of the things that comes up even within different streamers is talking about like, I put on a show to make my life look cultivated, but that's not the reality of my life. Even just, not just spiritually, but like putting on a show for how clean my house is. Look at how organized, how full my life is. I'm wondering how many board gamers we play quite a few board games, but not as much as you might think with how much we put up online. So like, it's all a show without the actual joy of playing games together. Mm-hmm. And that is the heart of what this passage is all about.
Yeah, as a second example, before we started streaming on Sunday, we had talked about, I had mentioned I want to rearrange this because I don't want it to look messy in the stream because it's going out to everybody else, and we never took that time to do that.
Yep, this is the reality of her life.
And it feels more honest. The other example that I was thinking of as you were talking about that, a number of people know this, but not necessarily everybody, but I've suffered most of my life from depression. And when people who are not aware of that find out, it's amazing how many like, I never would have guessed, or you don't seem like that, or whatever else. And it's because I've learned from teenage years on that if you want to be a productive member of society and able to build relationships, you kind of have to put on a happy face with people, whether you're feeling it or not, because that's just what society expects.
Yeah. Where is Jesus inviting you to risk trusting him again and taking a step of faith? That's what to sit with today.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. I think my answer about the tea is the same as yours. It is tea. Yeah.
It seems to be a box of threes.
A box of threes. Yeah. Well, no, the first one was a 2. The second one was 2.5. This one I'll give a 3. Actually, oolong was not always my first choice for a tea. I do appreciate this one more than some of our other oolongs. I will still give it a 3.
The thing I like about it is it doesn't have a very strong flavor, I feel, in any real way. Like it's just a very mild tea, I find, in general, which means that to me it's like slightly flavored hot water, and I really like hot water, so it's soothing me in the fact that it's warming me up on the inside, which I like. Okay,
so I've just looked ahead. Our next 3 teas are all fruit infusions, and I know we like at least one of them.
Okay, well that's good to know.
No, this one's growing on me. This one might be a 3.5.
So today we returned the baptism tank that we borrowed.
Yes.
Your mom comes down mid-afternoon.
Yeah. We're gonna have a mom for the week.
Yes, which means I need to take some time. I work from home today, which is really nice. So I need to take some time around lunchtime to make the room that we currently stream our board games in into a spare bedroom for mom for the next week or so.
Yeah.
Um,
Thinking of that, like even just the areas in your life where you settle for looking alive instead of being fully alive, on a very small scale, there are so many times where we have company over and we do not have enough time to maybe put out our well-lived space. We'll have like piles of things up. So we call it Heidi up.
we pick a room that we don't want anyone to go in. Everything goes in there. We close the door and we just don't talk about that room.
Can't do that when mom's coming for a whole week. So no hiding up this time. We've actually been spending the week getting the place ready last week. And the job continues.
The office is still a tripping hazard, but
She won't be in there.
no, I will.
You have long legs. As I was reading this, our devotional, the other thing that was coming up is, and I want to say this for anybody who's going, well, that's an interesting take. I've never heard it. I've done some extensive study of the parallel story in Mark. And the cursing of the fig tree is, he curses in the morning, the temple is cleaned, and then it's either that evening or the next day they notice that there's no life on the tree. So that is the pattern in Mark. And two of the things like that in my study and my time in that part of connection to today's reading is the first is because I think Mark, I don't know if Matthew said it, but Mark definitely says like the fruit wasn't in season, and so people are like, oh, that's not even fair, it's not even season time. But when figs grow, right when the leaves start to bud, there is the fig already starts growing. So the fact that he goes to this tree that is in full leaf, even though it's not in season, there should be at least figs there. Hi, Margaret. And there's no figs. Like there isn't any. It is not producing anything. It's not even getting ready to give fruit. It has got all the signs of life, as the author says, with no fruitfulness. And in Mark, the fact that it's fig, temple, fig, the story about the fig tree is actually about the thing in the center, which is the temple
being full.
It's full of leaf, but no fruitfulness. And so there are places in our lives. We've talked about some very non-spiritual ones, but there are places in our lives. There have been criticisms very well of churches in the last year, in the last decades, of they have all the appearance of fruitfulness or life. Look at how vibrant they are. Look at how much they're growing. And they don't actually have fruitfulness. They don't actually have good fruit coming from them. It's the same with like lots of people make claims or prophetic things. And if the prophecies don't come true, even if one of them doesn't come true, then they aren't listening. And it's something to remember. Okay, there's the heavy of the morning. I'm glad the tea was good.
Yeah.
So, happy Holy Tuesday.
Happy Holy Tuesday.
We're going to get ready for our day because we have a baptism tank to return and a mom to get ready for and a few other things for today. I have a paper due in 7 days. I think that's going to be what I work on in between everything else today.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything to add? I did a lot of talking.
No, the only thing I have to add is we're going to be back tomorrow. 7:30 with
Same
our
bat
tea
time? Same bat
and
location?
our devotional. And probably right here again rather than the other room.
Because my mom will be asleep.
Or trying to sleep as we talk. One of the two.
Okay, friends. I miss you too. I'm so glad everybody stopped by today.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.